जय गोपी जन वल्लभ। जय यशोदानंदन जय व्रज जनरंजन जय यशोदा। जय यशोदानंदन जय व्रज जनरंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज विहारी जय कुंज विहारी जय जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज विहारी जय कुंज विहारी जय यमुना तिरवनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद जय नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। मेरे पीछे दोहराएंगे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। साथ में दोहराएंगे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So, we welcome you all for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we are reading from the Canto number 1, chapter 8, and verse number 46. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.46. Prayers of Queen Kunti. And today we'll be seeing there is new section coming. Okay. So if you have opened, we'll recite. Vyasadhyar
व्यासादेर
ईश्वरे
ईश्वरे
इह
इह
यहि
वै
कृष्णेन
कृष्णेन
अद्भुत
अद्भुत
कर्मणा
कर्मण
प्रबोधितो
प्रबोधितो
अपि
अपि
इतिहासे
इतिहासे
न बुध्यत
न बुध्यत
सुचार्पितः
सुचार्पितः
व्यासाद्यरीश्वरे यज्ञै
व्यासादेरीश्वरे अज्ञे
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेन भूतकर्मण
व्यासाद्यरीश्वरे यज्ञै
व्यासादेरीश्वरे अज्ञे
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेन भूतकर्मण
प्रबोधितोऽपि इतिहासे
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
प्रबोधितोऽपि इतिहासे
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः
न बुद्ध्य सुचार्पिता
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः
न बुद्ध्य सुचार्पिता
व्यासाध्यरीश्वरे हाज्ञै
व्यासादेरीश्वरे अज्ञे
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेन भूतकर्मणा
प्रबोधितोऽपि इतिहासे
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः
सुचार्पिता
व्यासाध्यरीश्वरे हाज्ञै
व्यासादेरीश्वरे अज्ञे
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेन भूतकर्मणा
प्रबोधितोऽपि इतिहासे
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः.
न बुद्ध्य सुचार्पिता
Yes, devotees can recite. व्यासाध्यरीश्वरे हाग्यै
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
प्रबोधितोऽपि तिथासि
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
नाभूद्यत सुचार्पितः
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः
व्यासादे ईश्वरे हागे
व्यासाद्यरीश्वरे हाग्यै
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
प्रबोधितो अपीतिहासे
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
नाबुदीयते सुचार्पिता
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः
हाग्ये
व्यासाद्यरीश्वरे हाग्यै
कृष्णेन अद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
प्रबोधितो अपि इतिहासे
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
आबुध्यत् सुचार्पितः
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः. One devotee, if they want to, they can recite from online.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Can I recite Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Mataji, yes, that one.
Thank you Prabhu. व्यासाद्यैरीश्वरे हाज्ञये
व्यासाद्यरीश्वरे हाग्ये
कृष्णेन अद्भुतकर्मणा
कृष्णेनाद्भुतकर्मणा
प्रबोधितो अपीतिहासैर्
प्रबोधितोऽपीतिहासे
नाबुध्यत शुचार्पितः
नाबुध्यत सुचार्पितः.
Thank you.
Word to
Dandavat
word
Pranam.
meaning. Vyasadhyahi,
Vyasadi,
by great sages
by great sages,
headed by Vyas,
headed by Vyas,
Ishvara,
Ishvara,
the Almighty God,
the Almighty God,
Iha,
Iha,
by the will of,
by the will of,
Gyahi,
Yahi,
by the learned,
by the Lord,
Krishnena,
Krishnena,
by Krishna himself,
by Krishna himself,
Adbhutakarmana,
Adbhutakarma,
by one who performs
by one who performs
all superhuman work,
all good things,
Prabodhitaha,
Prabodhitaha,
being solaced,
being solid,
Api,
Api,
although,
although,
Itihasahi,
Itihase,
by evidences
by evidences
from the histories,
from the histories,
Na,
Na,
not,
not,
Abudhyata,
Abhudyata,
satisfied,
satisfied,
Sucharpitaha,
Suchar,
distressed.
distressed.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. King Yudhishthir, who was much aggrieved, could not be convinced. Despite instructions by great sages headed by Vyas and the Lord Krishna himself, the performer of superhuman feats, and despite all historical evidence. Purport. The pious King Yudhishthir was mortified because of the mass massacre of human beings in the battle of Kurukshetra, especially on his account. Duryodhan was there on the throne and he was doing well in his administration. And in one sense, there was no need of fighting. But on the principle of justice, Yudhishthir was to replace him. The whole clique of politics centered around this point, and all the kings and residents of the whole world became involved in this fight between the rival brothers. Lord Krishna was also there on the side of King Yudhishthir. It is said in the Mahabharata Adi Parv 2.25 that 64 crore men were killed in the 18 days of the battle of Kurukshetra, and some hundreds of thousands were missing. Practically, this was the greatest battle in the world within 5,000 years. The mass killing simply to enthrone Maharaj Yudhishthir was too mortifying. So he tried to be convinced with evidences from histories by great sages like Vyas and Lord himself that the fight was just because the cause was just. But Maharaj Yudhishthir would not be satisfied, even though he was instructed by the greatest personalities of the time. Krishna is designated herein as the performer of superhuman actions. But in this particular instance, neither he nor Vyas could convince King Yudhishthir. Does it mean that he failed to be a superhuman actor? No, certainly not. The interpretation is that the Lord as Ishwar or the super soul in the hearts of both King Yudhishthir and Vyas performed still more superhuman action because the Lord desired it. As super soul of King Yudhishthir, he did not allow the king to be convinced by the words of Vyas and others, including himself, because he desired that the king hear instructions from the dying Bhishma Dev, who was another great devotee of the Lord. The Lord wanted that at the last stage of his material existence, the great warrior Bhishmadev see him personally and see his beloved grandchildren, King Yudhishthir, etc., who are now situated on the throne and thus pass away very peacefully. Bhishmadev was not at all satisfied to fight against the Pandavas, who were his beloved fatherless grandchildren. But the Kshatriyas are also very stern people. Therefore, he was obliged to take the side of Duryodhan because he was maintained at the expense of Duryodhan. Besides this, the Lord also desired that King Yudhishthir be pacified by the words of Bhishmadev, so that the world could see that Bhishmadev excelled all in knowledge, including the Lord himself. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, before I speak, my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas assembled here. Please bless me so that I can speak on this exalted subject matter. And at the same time, I'm also very grateful that you are giving your ears and seniors has given me this chance to purify myself. And in this regard, if I'm able to speak what is in Parampara, then I would consider this as a success. So, requesting you to please pray for me. Hare Krishna. So, this is now the turning point in this chapter. Previously, we all had been hearing Shri Mati Kunti Devi's prayers. The foremost section in this had been the prayers of Kunti Maharani, right? The foremost and famous prayer by her that, "Oh Lord, give me all the calamities so that I can remember you," right? And kind of same mood, same feelings we'll see in now the next exalted devotee. So now, any one of you would like to guess who is coming next to be glorified by Lord Krishna himself in Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, Bhishma Dev. Generally, it is told that Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Lord about himself and Jiva, right? Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by devotees to glorify whom? About Krishna, right? And his devotees. But we will see there is always a competition between Lord and his devotees. You know, what kind of competition is there between Lord and his devotees? That competition is about who is going to glorify whom and who is going to win. This is a transcendental competition between devotees and the Lord. They each other want to glorify themselves eternally, and there is a constant battle. Who is going to win? So this is what we'll see in this purport, how this fact is true here, right? So let's go into this. So when we hear from Prabhupada, very fortunate we are that for this chapter, Prabhupada not only have given purports to almost all the verses, not once, twice. One in Los Angeles when he had been there for a long time, and secondly has given purports. He has spoken on these verses in Mayapur also. So when we go through the lectures of Srila Prabhupada, then we understand the deep insights also. While reading, we are not able to touch each and every point so easily because it needs a studious, laborious work of a student, to study something. But when you hear same subject matter from the teacher, and the teacher is the same who has written the book, then it becomes very easy. So few of the things which we'll cover here is directly from Prabhupada's lecture. So first Prabhupada explains why Vyasadhyay. What is the need of referring here Vyasadhyay? If you read this translation, then it's very simple. King Yudhishthir, he's aggrieved, he's in pain. And what is the reason of his pain? Lamenting for what?
War. And the people died.
For war. Why war? War was for the noble cause, religious cause, but still he's lamenting. Why?
Many people in crores died.
Okay. So is it not okay if demons died? What's the issue? Yes.
He thought that he was the reason for the fighting.
Yeah, that is the heart of a Vaishnava. Why is considering he is the reason for war or fight?
It's all about the throne.
Yeah, everyone is trying to claim the throne, which is in general seen everywhere, right? So many series, movies are there after one another for the seat of political party or for the some city, district, kingdom, anywhere else. You see that somewhere here or there is some constant battle going on, right? For what? Power, prestige, post, resources. Who will exploit the most? Yesterday, I was discussing with some devotees that there is competition in material world about the post position. Why? Because the more you'll have, the more you will exploit, and you'll think the more you exploit, the more happier you'll become because you have been exploited like that. So I was giving an example that those who have been in IT, they understand that. Even in the college ones also about ragging. Why generally person take ragging? Because he has suffered same. So he wants to feel that joy. Although when he was being ragged, it was not in his mind that he'll do this. So much disgusting. What kind of things are done during ragging for the college boys? But why? Because that tinge, that devil mentality is there. Since I have been plundered, now I will plunder others. I will make them suffer. It's demonic mentality. Therefore, most of the students in first year, if you'll ask them ना, अच्छा लगा रैगिंग में आपको भी लेना मिलेगा नेक्स्ट टाइम, तो एक साल और चलने देते हैं, तो 2 साल आप रैगिंग दीजिए, 2 साल फिर आप ले लेना रैगिंग. At that time, that person will say, no, enough is enough, please, I do not want. But same person, when he turns up next year, becomes senior, he takes ragging, right? In the case of office also, we see that leaders, those who are leaders, they try to exploit. What we see that those who are leaders, so in office, we feel that we are given so much work, which is outside of the business hours. And we feel like we are being exploited day by day. So in that case, what happens? The person, when he becomes leader, he thinks this is the way what we have to do. Make others cry, hue and cry, make them fall apart, but still they have to work. Right? So we want to exploit and we want to take as much as possible. So the tendency for a person to feel more about himself is the more resources he'll have, he'll be happy. So that happiness he compares with the amount of resources, wealth. So he tries to climb the ladders of material world, right? From labor class to leaders, leaders to managers, managers to directors, and then finally CEOs. Why? So that they can exploit. But in devotee circle, we see what? There is a constant competition, like I explained. Krishna is being at the top, starting from the ignorant person who is not having any knowledge of Krishna. If he's told or preached about Krishna, then starting from that labor class means you're ignorant person who does not know about Lord. So from that ignorant person to a neophyte devotee, then a practicing devotee, then a pure devotee, and finally coming to the Krishna, everyone is bigger on the scale of the more amount of service they are rendering to the below those who are available, right? So when person comes from ignorance field to neophyte stage, he understands that now I am not all in all. Who also exists? God exists. And if God exists, that who am I? I'm the servant of God. This servitorship comes in the picture. And he now considers himself at least at neophyte stage that I am servant, not master. When same person starts preaching, he finds so many challenges. And everywhere here and there, while performing the act of sharing Krishna consciousness, it is made sure by Krishna that such situation comes that we are ready to accept that feeling that not only Krishna is our master, but also those Vaishnava with I am dealing with, they are also my master. Then again that proposition of servitorship have another layer, means deep impact on his consciousness. So that servitorship becomes more and more ingrained in his consciousness. Then further coming to the stage of pure devotee, they consider each and every person as a pure except themselves. That is their consciousness. So in that consciousness, they want to serve each and every person, right? So they are bigger servant. And finally coming to Krishna, we see here so many stories from Sudama to Arjun. What do we see? Krishna had thousands, millions of servants in Dwarika. But when it came about receiving Sudama, what did he do? Personally went. He personally washed his feet. He personally decorated him, fed him, massaged his legs. Why? To tell us that while trying to achieve hierarchy in material world, becoming bossanu boss, it's never possible to have happiness. But opposite to it, in the spiritual hierarchy, if we try to become servant of the servant of the servant, it's very easy. It's very easy to become big by becoming servant, right? So devotee shares like there is no dearth in serving. Why? Because when it comes about taking prasadam or honoring prasadam, there is a huge queue. But if you want to serve prasadam, is there any struggle? There is no queue, right? So when it comes about service, there is no competition. But when it comes about being served, then there is a long queue. Huge competition is there. So in that way, we understand that just a flip of consciousness, considering oneself superior to the considering oneself not inferior, but actually in a humble stature mood, considering oneself servant, we can achieve big things. We can make our the supremost master as our friend and dear servant. We don't want Krishna to become our servant, but that's his mood. And this theme is actually visible in this episode. Like Bhishma Pitama is lying on the arrow of bed, right? Bed of arrows. He's lying there. And what is his situation? He has been left out there like that. Since the 10th day of Mahabharat, he is still there. And what is he expecting? He's expecting that when that time will come when I'll leave my body. But being a devotee, there is a challenge. What challenge? Devotee can never feel happy in a solace being alone. You always want to have reciprocation or association of devotees. But now who will look there? So Krishna being the servant who only actually arranged the killing of Bhishma Dev, right? But he himself arranged this situation that Prabhupada just write that he is superhuman. He is situated in the hearts of everyone, Krishna. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivisto matta smritirjnana vapohanam cha. So he can change the heart or mind of every person very easily. But instead of doing so, and even if we do not consider that he can change heart within, he is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. Speaker of Bhagavad Gita, the biggest literature on Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Welcome. So he's the biggest speaker on when it comes about philosophy. Who has spoken such a philosophy, such a jam of literature that psychologists still are trying to figure out how and what, how to cover that. Why? Because the whole Bhagavad Gita is spoken for changing the state of mind of Arjun, isn't it? His struggle is with the understanding of situation through his mental situation. So Krishna wants to bring him out and teach him that the situation is arising because you have certain things within your mind. You are not that actually, right? So considering from that perspective, who has spoken Gita, can't he convince other person who have convinced Arjuna being in such situation? Similar kind of situation where Arjuna was also not ready to fight for the right cause. He gave also apt examples why not to fight. But when it came about Yudhishthir, why bringing Bhishma Pitama? This principle of service. Krishna always want to reciprocate to his devotees. Being on the battlefield, such a sad situation. Many people still consider Bhishma Pitama as the villain. If you ask present day in general Indians who are the villains in Mahabharat, one of the name you'll find of Bhishma Pitama. But on the other side, if you go to the Srimad Bhagavatam, here we are. We are going to read now further prayers of whom? Bhishma Pitama. He is considered as the topmost devotee, right? Even in those 12 Mahajan, who is also involved? Bhishma. 12 Mahajan means in each and every situation, at all times to come, they know what to do and how to act. They can guide. Even in the last line of this Parpat Rupad, right? Bhishma Dev, King Yudhishthir be pacified by the words of Bhishma Dev so that the world could see that Bhishma Dev excelled all in knowledge. Bhishma Dev excelled all in knowledge, including the Lord Himself, which means Krishna wanted to show the world that I am not that great as my devotee, Bhishma Pitama. I could not convince Yudhishthir. But here you see, Bhishma Pitama, just by speaking few words, giving some sermon, he changed the heart of Yudhishthir. So this is the glory of Lord. He always wants to serve his devotee. And in this battle, it is told that victory is always to devotees. Because even when we'll see devotee is victorious, why? Although Lord brought Yudhishthir Maharaj to be glorified, brought Yudhishthir Maharaj to Bhishma Pitama so that he could be glorified, Bhishma Pitama. But still, when Bhishma Pitama start speaking, he actually spoke of the glory of Krishna. How his presence was actually the benediction for you. What else can be expected? He was presented in your assembly, he was like your friend. What else can be told about you? How glorious you are, how fortunate you are. So, in that way, finally, who wins? Devotee wins. So, that is the final conclusion of that battle. So, when Prabhupada writing about in his lectures, he's speaking about why Vyasadhyay. So, Prabhupada says that Vyasadhyay because this has been the culture in India, not today. Previously, if you ask your grandfather, grandmother, that how issues were resolved if not courts, if matters were not taken to the court, how these were resolved. So Prabhupada shares that you would have remembered that whoever would be the saintly person, wisdom personified in knowledge, person would reach to him and ask, sir ये ऐसा ऐसा हो गया है, आप बताइए क्या करना है, ये समझ नहीं रहे हैं. You would have seen these cases in your localities at least few years back, 20, 30 years back, when there were no mobile phones and all. People had time that. So Prabhupada quotes that this was still the system in India. And he gave references from Chaitanya Charitamrita also, that such was the presence of Sanatan Goswami. Then whenever any matter would come from Braja villages to him, or even when he was minister, it was resolved on the basis of the saintly nature of Sanatan Goswami. They will come, Baba, क्या करना है, इसने ऐसे कर दिया, इसको बताइए ना. So like that, then he will say, okay, you are at false and he's right. So just accept it. Or otherwise, people go to temple and they'll resolve with the priest or in front of deities. One such example is of Sakshi Gopal. We have seen, right? Even our dear King Pratap Rudra Rai and his father Purushottam Dev Rai. There are many instances in stories of Jagannath. Whenever they'll have conflict or they're not able to take decision whether I have to go and fight that kingdom, they will go in the inner chamber of Lord and pray to them. They will consult with Lord directly. They are exalted devotees. We are not at that stature state, but they'll go and pray to the Lord. Similarly, that consultation culture was there, and because of that, it is there Vyasadhyay. Not only Vyas, so many other sages were also involved to pacify whom? Yudhishthir. That it is not your fault at all. Duryodhan was such a rascal, he deserved actually to be killed. And along with him, whoever joined him, they were supposed to be killed. Although it could be seen that, right, Prabhupada writes in his purport, this verse, his administration was very nice. There was no need to fight. There was no question of other 99 Prabhuji shares in Mahabharata, that there was no question of fight between those 100 Kauravas, although they were not having unity with Pandavas, but when it came about Kauravas, they were very nicely united. Although at the wrong side, but they never had fight among themselves. They were unanimous in taking decisions how to do bad with others, how to choke others, how to stop their progress, right? So in that consideration, if we only consider administrative part, then there was no issue with Duryodhana's presence. But when it came about justice, religiosity, then there was huge concern. Having such a king who is ready to put everything on a stake, especially disrespecting, abusing woman, not a common woman, a woman who is chaste and queen of that kingdom, in front of the elders, not like being in some corner of the world when you get agitated and you did something wrong. Fully conscious in front of the seniors, elders of the assembly, you're ready to do something wrong. That shows the courage they'll have when it comes about their selfish agendas. That day was not far if there was question of some other woman in the kingship of Duryodhan, he would do the same. So justice is needed. For that purpose, there was fight, right? And decision was taken. But here we see that although this was just right, as Prabhupada writes, but still Duryodhan was not, Yudhishthir Maharaj was not ready to accept the decision. Why? Because this was the desire of Lord. He wanted to show that although I am also involved in consultation and convincing Yudhishthir, what can be done? Someone is greater, better than us at doing so. And who is he? Bhishma Pitama. So this is what Krishna's mood, that he always wants to put his devotees first. Same in the case of Arjuna, when it came about Bhishma Pitama taking vow with those 5 arrows, I'll kill all the Pandavas with the very next day. Krishna very intelligently understanding everything from history, future and all. He sent Arjuna to the chambers of Duryodhana who had taken those 5 arrows, understanding there could be something, but not understanding how Krishna will make things. So sorry for him. So Krishna rightly sent Arjuna, not only sent, reminding him of his promise he had received from Duryodhana, that whenever you will ask for something from me, I'll be obliged to do so. and those arrows were asked, and happily Duryodhana had to give, right? But who was put at the stake by doing so? When Krishna did so to protect Pandavas, who was at the other side now whose promise was going to fall apart? Who was there? Bhishma Pitama. And considering the situation of Bhishma, his name is Bhishma, the person who took vow of not marrying, remaining brahmachari, is have to now coming to the stake that he did not get defeated by his spiritual master also. Not spiritual master, is one of his guru from whom he learned weaponry science. Who was that? Parasuram. When it came out marrying Amba, what did he do? No, I have taken vow. Then they had to be in the duel. And who won finally? Bhishma, right? And Parasuram became happy that now my student is surpassing me, or at least equaling me in the skills of fighting. Such a person of such caliber is now being put in such precarious situation that you are known for your vow, and your vow that you have taken for the foremost time, all generations to remember that you have lost that. You will not be able to kill now Pandavas. Now what to do? So he took another vow. What did he do? He took another vow that if this is so done by Krishna, that I take this vow now, the very next day, either Arjun would be killed or Krishna will have to break his own vow. What was his vow? To not lift any weapon. And why did Krishna chose so that he will not fight? What was the reason? Why Krishna? Have you ever thought? Prabhupada answers actually one of his lectures, but just from your side, if you can share something. Why is it so? What do you think that Krishna choose not fighting in the Mahabharat war? So much fighting is done from the age of just 3 days up to whatever you know, up to killing the Narakasur, Bhaumasur. Every day almost, or every year, there would have been some fight, right? Just reducing the burdens of the demons from this earth, right? As Brahma narrates, or there Kunti Maharani also shares in her prayer that why Lord takes birth, why does he appear? To remove the burden of the earth from such demonic persons. So for years, day after day, Krishna had been fighting. Now coming to this place, what could be the reason? He's choosing not fighting. Okay, how?
You can single-handedly kill all the people.
Yeah, even if not that, suppose if Krishna was fighting in one part of battlefield, he defeated Jarasandh, to whom Bhima took 28 days. He defeated 17 times, including Akshuni Senas, whatever he used to bring. And not like that, he used to send them like, no clothes, so much humiliation. No one left in the army. He will come with the Akshuni Sena, crores of people, and he will leave alone. Such thing he did for 17 times. Without chariot. By walk, they had to go back to Magad from Mathura. Such was the power of Krishna. If he would have been fighting, you see, such was the case that when Arjuna had to take rest while following Jayadratha, such was the situation when Krishna had to arrange. He just came out of the chariot and started caressing the hairs of horses. By looking at them, nobody was there to fight actually. No one was ready to, think of, oh, we are in the battlefield. They were just looking at the glory of Krishna. Oh, how nice, how beautiful he is, how nicely he is doing this. Just by mere of his presence, he could change the minds of person. And same person when fighting, whole aura, whole media reports would have been on the other side. Which part of the side Krishna is fighting? Like in the case of Bhima, when you have to find, you have to see where is so much blood. Cheekhein aa rahi hai. Right? Why? Because Bhima is there smashing them somewhere. right? And if you have to observe Bhima, then you have to observe which person is full with blood. Only two white things are visible: eyes and teeth. Everything is blood shedded. Similarly, if Krishna would have been there, the whole coverage would be of that part only of Mahabharata. So he actually wanted to give all credits to Arjuna and Pandavas. So he decided not to fight. And other things also, devotee shares that he chose because he wanted to actually tell the world now, see, I am equipoised, I am impartial. I am not with Kauravas, you see, I did not choose. Even I gave them better. So those materialistic persons who are always after the energy of Krishna, they have been told by this episode, Duryodhan choosing Krishna's Narayani Sena over him, that you be happy. Whatever you consider the best now you have, still you have to get defeated. Right? Because you do not have Krishna. Right? So considering that situation, Krishna is so merciful, he accepted not to fight. And now Bhishma Pitama has taken another vow that now either you will break your vow of not fighting or I will kill Arjun. And within few hours, he created such a mess, broken all the pieces of the armors on the chest of Arjun, broken even the pratyancha of, Gandhi vow, also dismantling the all parts of the chariot, not only flag, wheels, horses, everything totally dismantled, mayhem in the war field. And in such situation, now he's demanding Krishna. क्या बोल रहे थे आप? क्या बोल रहे थे आप? वेपन नहीं उठाएंगे? अब बताइए. And with the next arrow, he's ready to kill actually Arjuna. He has already hit so many arrows on the chest of Arjuna and body. Many parts of the body of Arjuna, blood is oozing out. And not only that, to inflict love and compassion in the heart of Arjun, he also hit arrows to the chest of Krishna, to his head, shoulders, bringing blood out. But actually, that brought out nectar of love and compassion in the heart of Arjun. That famous picture, if you remember, then Krishna decided, you, some devotee says, बूढ़ा हो गया लेकिन फिर भी समझ नहीं आता, अभी भी युद्ध करने की इच्छा बची है तो लो. Then he picks that one of the wheel of the chariot and is just ready to attack Bhishma. And that picture comes where Arjuna is holding the leg of Krishna. My lord, no. So this is the mood of devotees. One devotee is trying to not break the promise of Krishna that you do not kill. Other person is ready, you'll have to break. And here is the Krishna who is actually taking the humble role. Who ultimately broke his promise? Krishna. So for Krishna to please his devotee, there is no such thing कि मेरी वाव है, अच्युत मेरा नाम है, एक बार जो बोल दिया वो होके रहेगा. Whose name is Achyut? Who does not budge an inch from his promise or whatever he has told? Krishna. And who is ready to surrender to his devotee's will? Krishna. That is special about Krishna. This is called the foremost opulence, called renunciation. Rarely seen. We see very easily that Krishna is also full with renunciation. But this scene, this attitude of Krishna, this feeling of Krishna for his devotee proves 100% that he is fully renounced when it comes about taking credit. He is having no desire. He always wants to give credit to his devotees. So in such situation, to glorify Bhishma, he is saying Arjuna, now I'll have to kill. And through this also he is actually insisting Arjuna, you are not fighting up to your best capacity, therefore it is happening. So next moment onwards, when they have new chariot, when they start fighting, then Arjuna fights with next level vigor, in foremost of his capacity, and he started attacking. Before that, actually, he was not attacking. Arjuna was not attacking Bhishma Pitama. He was not like hurting him. putting arrows in his chest or breaking things. He did not want to crush the pride of Bhishma Pitama. He was not doing any such things. Same was happening before also from the side of Bhishma Pitama. Therefore, Duryodhana had approached him. Ki, what are you doing? You are capable of killing the whole Pandava army within a day, and you are not fighting. So, Krishna is so interesting that he brings such intricacies. He changed the situation in the Kaurava camp. Then Bhishma had to take oath to kill, and now Krishna had to break his promise. Arjuna is also now ready to fight. So in just one case, he changed all the situation. But what was the purpose? To give all credits to his devotees, right? So Prabhupada has written, he did not allow the king to be convinced by the words of Vyas and others, including himself, because he desired that the king hear instructions from the dying Bhishma Dev. Another feather in the personality of Bhishma Pitama. Like when we read about Prabhupada, that Prabhupada has written Srimad Bhagavatam, that is one level of, respect and uh, respect and kind of an aura we get created for Srila Prabhupada. But at the same time, when you see that at the deathbed, when Prabhupada is very fragile, weak, at that moment also he is narrating Srimad Bhagavatam. How proud we feel. Here you see our Acharya, our leader, our hero, who is setting the example that at such moment, this would be the consciousness of a person who has given each and every bit of his life in the service of Krishna. Same here. Bhishma Pitama, although a warrior, but now he is going to give the sermon, topmost sermon in the battlefield. And devotee consider far better than actually Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because it is in glorification of Krishna and Vaishnava both. Right? He will glorify Pandavas also and he will glorify Krishna also. So in that way, if you see, nectar is going to come. And what is the situation of Bhishma Pitama? For last more than a month, he has been on the bed of arrows, blood coming constantly through his body, and he's ready to accept this austerity. And in such a situation, nectarian words comes out of his mouth to praise the glory. So this adds more feathers to the personality of Bhishma Pitama, that he's speaking this nectarian Bhagavad Katha being on such situation. The person who is going to lose his very life is ready to give the life in the heart of Yudhishthir, who was actually dying when it came about fulfilling the duty of being a king. So, such is the greatness of Bhishma Pitama, and such is the love of Krishna to his devotees, right? Prabhupada further writes to just make us understand sometimes few things we cannot understand. Like when Prabhupada writes that the Kshatriyas are also very stern people, and therefore he was obliged to take the side of Duryodhan because he was maintained at the expense of Duryodhan. So many people ask this question: Why? Why Bhishma Pitama, if he was all knowing, like one of the Mahajan, he had to stay calm and take side of Duryodhan? Okay, it is understood that he was bound and he did not take side of Draupadi. But when it came about the war, why? Why he couldn't take the sides? So Prabhupada writes that Kshatriyas are also very stern people. When, when it came about fighting, nothing can be done. Like one scene I remember is of Lakshman. When Parsuram had come to check with Ram why that arrow has been broken, being a stern Kshatriya, he replied in such a way that Parsuram was bewildered. Such a small child, 11, 12 years of age, is arguing with me. In mind, he could have been thinking, like Gaurang Prabhu shares, that अरे जब तुम्हारे बाप ने हमारे डर से 350 शादियां कर ली, तुम क्या, you are arguing with me, you have no fear? And he is smiling. Lakshmana is smiling because that is a Kshatriya spirit. They are not worried about what is going to get happen. When it comes about that chivalry, valor, then they are ready to show. So when it came out fighting, Bhishma Pitama was ready, right? And also because he was maintained by Duryodhan. So Prabhupada writes in his lecture, he is speaking that this is also one of the quality of a Vaishnava. That although at the side of wrong people, but if they have received something, they want to remain grateful. So that was also other side, like not namak khaya to namak ka karz chukayenge, not in that way of movie line, what we see, but being considered that being grateful for so long, this side has provided for me, so I have some duty. The vow I have taken that I will be taking side, whoever would be on the throne, I'll try to protect them. So if we consider, if we learn from this purport of Srila Prabhupada, then we'll not have any dilemma understanding the personality of greatness of Bhishma Dev. So with these words, I would like to uh, share few lessons quickly. Uh, So few lessons, key learnings I have written, uh, which I'll share, and you can remember this subject matter from that. No matter who we are, if doing wrong, then expect punishment from the laws of nature. So that's what happened with Bhishma Pitama, right? But is that what we learn only from Bhishma Pitama? Otherwise, it would be like abhelna to his personality, right? So what is next? The devotees of the Lord are never under Maya, so do not criticize them on humanly platform. Because whose desire it was that Bhishma Dev respond in such a way? Krishna's desire. So he, pure devotees always act under the direction of Yog Maya, not Mahamaya, right? So Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that Mahatmanastu Maham Partha Devim Prakritim Ashrita. So there it is there that all the devotees who are fully dependent on Krishna, who are actually pure devotee of Krishna, they are never in Mahamaya. They are always under working in the internal agency of Krishna, who is Yog Maya. Whatever they do, that is just for the pleasure of Lord. Even fighting of Bhishma Dev was just to give Veeras to whom? Krishna and Arjun. It was also desire of Bhishma Dev to have reciprocation, but also it gave thrills to whom? Krishna. Right? So this is second. Then whatever Lord does is just good for all people and all time to come in all the situations. So from this line, if we see this scene, that whatever happened at the Mahabharat war was actually right. And the situation of also Yudhishthir Maharaj is now proving to those materialists who claim, one of such panth is there, who claims that, अरे राजगद्दी के लिए इतने लोगों की हत्या कर दी. So for them, this is the personality of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Although won battle on the religious principles rightly, he is ready to say no, I don't want to rule. Considering himself guilty, although he should not have been guilty at any cost. This is the heart of a Vaishnava, right? And finally, there is no better well-wisher for one other than the Lord Krishna himself. Everyone could have forgotten about Bhishma Pitama, कि कोई पड़ा हुआ है वहां पे कुरुक्षेत्र में. Who could not forget? Krishna. He took everyone, all the sages assembled there. We'll see. Not only Vyas, Narad Muni, Parvat Muni, Angira, Vasisht, so many rishis all assembled to hear that glorious nectar coming from the mouth of Bhishma Pitama, to remember for the ages and to relish by devotees. So I'll close this episode now. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. If any question devotees can ask, or we'll close.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you
Yes,
so
Neeraj
much.
who is asking.
Thank you so much for this wonderful class. Prabhuji, you were explaining that in material tendency, like when we go to higher level, then we exploit. Like, and in spiritual tendency, like it is like serve when we go to higher position. So sometimes it can be happen that we have been given the responsibility to serve on some level. So we are in this material world and we are having this material tendency only. So what is the improvement that we can do? So when we have given the chance to serve, then we are not exploiting in spiritual society or spiritual tendency.
Oh, for this, training is needed actually. Like most of these things I have heard from actually this servant leadership is a whole course Radhesham takes. And these episodes actually tells us, like Krishna sitting in front of the chariot, driving, receiving the legs hit from the Arjuna to take the directions of his devotees for the chariot. So such episodes when we see and when we munch upon, then our situation would be like that of that Brahmana who is in south, following the instructions of his spiritual master, not able to know what is written, just by seeing that picture, remembering that scene, he's crying for the love. So what does it mean? We need to remember such cases, case studies, right? That to whom we are trying to please, actually trying to become our servant. Like if you hear the initiation lectures, it is a full actually credit to our acharyas that although we are so fallen and there is no need for them to go back to Godhead to take this responsibility to take also us. I mean to say receive us as our disciple, still they are doing so. Why? Because in that way they feel they are trying or they are aptly serving to their spiritual master. Their all the Acharya Parampara, because that has been given as an instruction, right? So when we see such things around, then it is so like even you see that in our spiritual circle, you see those who are at the higher pedestal considered from the materialistic viewpoint, we see they are receiving so much facility, but aren't they going through such a challenge that people will be criticizing also them, that you are so sadhu and you are using all these nonsense things, why don't you remain like tyagi tyagi tyagi, this conception is there when it comes about spiritual leaders, but they take that risk, they accept facilities. Like we see that everything was going nice, but here we see Prabhuji and all the other devotees also. We could have created some community here, some community hall and happy, but trouble is being taken now building the temple or whatever projects we see in India or outside the world. Prabhupada took so much trouble to serve more and more devotees. So this consciousness will come when we'll reflect in this side. Like I have never thought like this until Prabhuji has taken this session on spiritual hierarchy and material hierarchy. So when we hear such subject matters, munch upon them. So at least if not acting on that level, our consciousness would be refined to think on this side. Starting from acknowledging that yeah, this exists. So now there is work to be done, and that would be done when you're within devotees. Nice thrashing and purification would happen when we are with devotees in right way. We take in right consciousness, and so much to grow. So this consciousness would be refined, like it is told to purify the ego. What is the solution for a devotee? For purifying the intelligence, what is the solution? Reading books. For purification of mind, what is the solution?
Chanting.
For purification of body, prashad. Okay. And for purification of false ego,
Following the authority.
association. Having a guru also, guru is heavy. He purifies our false ego. But actually, more it comes from just being in association of devotees. Every day we'll feel so. So we'll be forced to become servant if we do not leave this process and continue in right spirit, hearing every day such things. That's what I can think. Because still I am also struggling with that consciousness. But that's what hope we have. We have seen so many going through this and becoming purified. One day we'll also be, if we are remaining ourselves. This. That's what. Hare Krishna. जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।